Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Here that is watching here today, the Covenant Calendar Club, where we bring you the Covenant Calendar as it was ordained since the beginning. And it is hosted by Conrad, Paris, um, and uh, and much more truth known in the internet. Um, Brandon, much more, and myself. And here we have today some really wonderful teachings regarding the continuation of the Feast of Tabernacles or Feast of Ingathering that just ended a few days ago. And also we're going to go over a third part teaching regarding the bride and the bridegroom and their roles. And Brandon is going to teach on that. So welcome to those who are watching. And I hope this teaching will be a blessing to you and also a good way to edify you. All right, well, without further ado, we're going to start off with Conrad, and he's going to go ahead and be teaching a second part on the Tekufa, and then also about Israel's punishment in the wilderness, where they were dwelling in the booths after Egypt for 40 years. All right, brother. So whenever you're ready, you can get started.
Okay. Good morning. Okay. I hope all of you had a wonderful Sukkot or Feast of Ingathering in your booths. Your bodies, of course, is also a booth or a tent or temporary shelters, sukkahs, the tikufa. Matthew Nolan just ended Revelation, and Revelation is an end of an era and also the beginning of another era. It's amazing. It ends, but it begins, Revelation. And here we are, the 7th month is going to end this Thursday, and the 8th month begins Friday. And I was a lunar-solar advocate for years until I discovered something was wrong with it. Then I start to study lunar Shabbatarians with their moon, and the 8th, the 15th, and 22 were Shabbats, etc. Then I went into the Enoch, you call it Jubilees, Zadokites, Qumran, and I was leaning towards that too as well, more so than anything else. It seems to be pretty close there. And then I had a revelation on the 360 days a year calendar, because many, and I heard one says it is about prophecy. I heard one guy talk about, yes, the 360 days a year calendar is for prophecy. And it is solar, but just for prophecy. And he mentioned Daniel, but he did not say it is literal and that what the prophets used for their prophecy. They did not use a lunar solar calendar for their prophecies, nor a lunar Shabbatarian calendar for their prophecies, nor a Qumran Zadokite Enoch calendar for their prophecies. A literal 360 days a year calendar for their prophecies, which they use for the festivals. That is in Leviticus chapter 23. That is documented in what? Chronological order. That is important. Chronological order is in Leviticus 23. You have some of the festivals scattered in Exodus, okay? And you have some of it in Numbers give you the same thing as well. But Leviticus more so you can read that in one setting. The revelation came to me when I observed on the 8th month, the 360 days year calendar. This is when I received that revelation that is literal. And I received that, and it became a new beginning for me. And we know that 8 in Gematria symbolized a new beginning. 7th month completion, perfection, used 500 times in scripture. And the 7 is in Revelation. How much times? 52 times alone, more or less, okay? And then we have new beginnings. So we now are experiencing new beginnings now, because there's going to be a long time before we come up to the Passover next year. So what we are doing now, we are looking forward, not backwards, to a new heavens and a new earth where dwell righteousness. That is our goal. That is our hope. And we're going to do like Abraham too, who live in booths or tents or ohels, Hebrew. But he, while was in the booth, according to Hebrews chapter 11, he was looking forwards. You always have to go forwards to what? A city that had foundations, whose builder or architect is Elohim. So let us focus. We have to focus now on that new city, that is in Revelation 21. In the meantime, we have to be realistic. We are still mortal. We still live on the earth. We still have to eat. We still have to sleep. We still have to work. We still have to make money. Yes, all right, righteously. I have to be realistic as well. But we should not lose our faith in what the Creator wants us to do, is to focus on that new city, a home, not a sukkot, permanent, lasts forever and ever. In a new heavens, it may not look like this, because I have no idea how it looks like. But I know right now I can look up into the heavens and see the stars. Okay? And I know I'm on the earth from a geocentric point of view and not from a heliocentric point of view. I'm not in the celestial spheres, so to speak. Okay? From that nature's natural viewpoint, naturally. And this is my second slide on this. Scriptures, the bridegroom, feast of ingathering, I took out. It was not there. It should have been there, but it was left out for some reason. Now, if I put the feast of ingathering, so
What happened?
Conrad, you're muted, brother.
I'm a mute.
Yep.
Yeah, they said the host has muted me. I don't know what happened here.
Uh-oh.
Yes, it said the host has muted
All
me.
right.
I think it was an accident because we're allowing admitting people in, and I think if Brandon and I press at the same time, it could like.
Oh, whoops. All right, I'll let you do it,
yes.
Jose. My bad.
No, it's okay. Yeah, as long as I think if one of us does it, it's probably.
Yeah, and it's also interfering with my slides too, because I see admit.
Okay.
All right.
I can do it. Not a problem.
So far, so good. I want to spend a little time here, not much though, on that word. It's important, the word tikufa. But before I get into it, I'm going to read something temporary. The tikufa in Exodus 34:22b let me translate here. Celebrate the feast of ingathering at the Tikufa. I put in that Hebrew word. And I'm going to use it. It means circuit. But I'm going to put the Hebrew. And it's Psalms 19:6. The sun in the heavens, not the moon, rises at one end of the heavens and makes the Tikufa. I use the Hebrew word again, which is translated as circuit to the other. Therefore, beginning at the vernal equinox, I have to repeat this over and over again. That is important because maybe there's somebody in the chat last week privately came against what I was saying. And rather than be constructive, I want constructive criticism. If they have something that goes against the 360 days air calendar, I would like it and let me know so I could examine it. Okay, so I repeat this again as we begin a new beginning, a new year. Therefore, beginning at the vernal equinox of March the 20, 2020, we have some 20s here, March the 20, 2020, first day, first month, then Tikufa came September the 15th on the 360 days air calendar, which is, by the way, a circle, if you want to say that. 2020, 30th day of the 6th month was that Tikufa in that 360 days air calendar until a change occurred. We speak very much about that. And then on September the 16th, first day, 7th month began, and September the 30th, 7th month, 15th day, Feast of Ingathering. A lot of what I must really say words. And this on the 360 days air calendar. Oh, I love it. Don't you? Covenant Calendar Club, explain to your lunar solar friends and Enoch too, and lunar Shabbatarians should have been with you or with us to celebrate as they brought their laughter too, and celebrate and party with us in righteousness too. Soon, where? In the wilderness. When? Next year? Revelation 12:14. I went through some, not pains, but explanation, because if you remove the Tikufa, you removed the understanding of the 360 days air calendar. So you have 2 points of demarcation. The vernal equinox, in which you begin the festivals counting, okay, until the Tikufa, which is around the 7th month. And I have it here explained in Strong's Hebrew, which is spelled T-E-Q-U-P-H-A-H, and we give it the phonetic sound. And then it's a coming round circuit as of the sun. It's the sun that does it, not the moon. The moon does not do a Tikufa, period. And I've seen a lot of people have some problems with lunar solar construction when it comes to that word Tikufa, because they're using the moon and the moon does not do the Tikufa. That is very important, concrete. And I gave an explanation, break it down in a pictographic chart of Jeff Berner. And then I have the Tor, the Kof, Hebrew alphabets. This is a Hebrew alphabet explanation, not an English A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Hebrew has meanings. A in English doesn't have any meanings. A, B, what is B in English? Do B has a meaning? Does C has a meaning? No, it does not. But Hebrew alphabet has meanings. And that is important because it is Elohim breed. That's why. So we have Tuf, Tor, however we want to call it, Kuf, spelled Q-U-P-H or K-O-F, phonetic sound, Wa, Pe, He, translated as sign of the sun, behind the horizon, at dawn, for time, only light can perceive time. We have here behind the horizon, secured at the edge of horizon, revealing the Tekufa, finished circuit of the year at the autumnal equinox for the feast of ingathering Sukkot. And we have here two witnesses, Psalms 19:6. That's one witness, circuit or Tekufa. Another witness here is in Exodus 34. Look at the cursor here, 22b. We celebrate. Let us party in righteousness. The last one here, bullet point, the creator of infinite intelligence has the 360 days year covenant calendar in the Hebrew Israelite alphabet. Ta, Kuf, Wa, Pe, He, Tekufa. Oh yes, the heavens declare the glory of Elohim. Moving off here. In the heavens, he has pitched a tent, sukkah, for the sun. So here is this tent. It's called the dome in the skies. It's a sukkah for the sun. It's also for the Feast of Tabernacles. It's over the earth, this tent or ohel, over the sun, over the earth, over the inhabitants of the earth, over our bodies. And that's me here when I took this picture. Scriptures are balanced, not a slide, are balanced in Elohim's point of view. Deuteronomy 4:15-19, yes, idolatry is forbidden. That's correct. There is this guy from South Africa, Mr. Custer, who had a book called Come Out of Her, My People. I read it. But he was against sun worship in a very, which is correct, but you can use it as negative, which he did. And others I have heard have done the same. Because it says, and when you look up to the sky and see the sun, the moon, and stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed into bowing down to them and worshiping things. What do you say? This is negative. But they're not balanced in their point of view, like Elohim. Psalms 19:1 says the heavens declare the glory, esteem of Elohim. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Would that not include sun, moon, and stars? You want to remove them? No. Do not use the moon for the Sukkot, Feast of Tabernacles, as your audience, a degree for your feast. You would get lost since you forgot the year as your starting point. You have to start. You cannot start with the moon. You have to start with where? With something that perceives time. And it is the sun at the vernal equinox that perceives the time for the 360 days year calendar that we support, beginning at the vernal equinox. It has a day. It is independent of the moon. It has a month. It has a time and year. And those who use the moon for month, somehow they forget the year at the vernal equinox. And not only that, they forget the tikufa. What does it mean in the heavens? He pitched a tent, a sukkah for the sun. And I have here quickly, every day one sees the movement of the sun traveling east and west under its boot, tent, the dome in the skies. And we have here in Hebrews 1:10-12, I have to read this. In the beginning, O Yahuwah, you laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are again the work of your hands. Psalms 19:1-6. Two witnesses. They will perish, but you remain. Whom? The bridegroom. They will all wear out like a garment. That's correct. They're going to vanish. You will roll them up like a robe. Like a garment, they will change. But you remain the same. Yahuwah and Yahusha, the bridegroom. And your years will never end. And the writer of Hebrews did not took this out of his head. He read Psalms 102, 25-27. And here we have the sun, which I refer to, which is like the bridegroom coming forth from his chamber room as a bridegroom gloriously adorned with light, as with a beautiful garment in all splendor of his bridal attire. The bridegroom, not a slide, Yahusha's clothing is much more splendid and beautiful than the bride. However, they must have the same qualities and characteristics. And then we have here pulpit given here what it means here. I want to read this here, that the sun's chamber room is where he passes the night below the earth. From this he bursts forth at morning in his full glory. It is Kadash. There is where they get this word from Kadash, which means renewed, rebuilt, repaired, and he is Kodesh, the month solar. So because the moon does the same thing, they give it to the moon, but it is the sun that is Kadash every morning. It's only a full moon that is Kadash, and then it loses its light. But the sun is Kadash wet every morning, and great is thy faithfulness, and that is the Hebrew word that is used, and they make it the moon, which is correct, but they make it lunar instead of solar. Moving ahead, read here, 360 days a calendar of Torah to the tribes scattered abroad, coming together in one accord, one stick in the hands of the Father. And read Ezekiel 37:15-17. This is one of his end goals. The Father who makes the end from the beginning, Isaiah 46:10. Psalms 19:1-6 is beautiful poetry. I'm doing this in case someone wasn't here last week. That's why I'm taking a little bit more time. Psalms 19:6 is the metaphor of sun rising. The tikufa for Sukkot, the autumnal equinox. In the book of the covenant of Exodus 23:16b, celebrate the feast of ingathering at the turn of the year when you gather in your crops from the field. Now, that means ear means shane, do a second time. That's the word ear means, okay? And also Exodus 34:22b, at the tikufa, the circuit of the sun, and that would be around the autumnal equinox in nature. Then why in Leviticus 23:34, on the 15th day of the 7th month, Yahweh's Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, begins? It did not say at the Feast of Ingathering, it called it Tabernacles. Then why a change of name from the Feast of Ingathering to Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot? Was this to show only in verse 43, so your descendants will know that I had the Israelites live in booths, sukkots, when I brought them out of Egypt? Do you know that they were living in booths for 40 years? In fact, should have been at least 2 years. And we are going to get some history in Numbers, and you can read them for lack of time. Numbers 1 and 1, Numbers 9, 1 to 3, Numbers 10, 11, etc. And again, I love this scripture because this is important for us to understand our Creator. I make known the end from the beginning, from ancient time, what is still to come. I'm moving ahead here. I had 10 of these from Google. 10 of these slides. Let me read first. The Israelites live in booths, sukkots, more than they should. About 30 years. They should have been in the promised land at least in the second year. Around Hebron, Jerusalem. There's where that they should have been. Right? In that area. And why? A lack of faith and disobedience. Notice here. I put this word here on this slide called the traditional route of the Exodus. It may not be. I says there are 10 of them that I saw. Ocasio has some that he wants us to see. But this is only the traditional route or route of the Exodus. It may not be it, but it gives you an indication or a sketch or an idea how it is. And these here, Rephidim, Mount Sinai, remember, they dwell in booths. But these, in Numbers 33, the wilderness of Paran, the wilderness of Sin, etc., they may not be what they are today, because just like how the booths were temporary, so are these names. In Numbers 33, when they left this and they left that area, are just temporary as well. Think about it. The booths are temporary. I have it here for a lack of time. They left Ramesses and camped at Sukkot. That's still in Egypt. Ramesses, the camp in Sukkot, etc. In booths, right? But guess what? Perhaps Sukkot is not where it is. Just like the booths disappear, so these what you call places are not there. Booths and places. Moving, oh Father. And then I have here the wilderness journey, even a little better. So you will see Ramesses, you will see Sukkot, you will see, I believe someplace here is the wilderness of Sin, in which they came in the second month. They left here on the 15th of the first month in the first year, and they came to the wilderness of Sin in the second month on the 15th day of the second month, somewhere here, right? That's an indication, not to say it is exact, which is important. The second month in which the manna narrative came and the 7-day Shabbat was revealed, and it took 1 month from Ramesses to the wilderness of Sin in the second month, on the 15th day of the second month, and on the third month in Exodus 19:1, they came to Mount Sinai, which we did last night, and showed it would have been about 2 months. Ramesses, Sukkot, somewhere in the wilderness of Sin, and to Mount Sinai would have taken 2 months. A power slide will be on this so you can see it much more better. I want to get this, because if you do not get this, then that's, with the power slide, get this, please, get this. Numbers gets its name from 2 accounts in Genesis 1 and 26 of the census of the numberings or countings of the people of Israel. It is Elohim under a theocratic government that can do the census. He allows it. We're not talking about on a secular government. That is two different governments altogether. The United States government is not a theocratic government. It calls itself a democracy, but I do not know what is this called democracy, because we don't have no rights, it seems, etc. You say driving is not a right, it's a privilege. Let me continue on. Though it is numbers, it is still Elohim breed, because the numbers are counting come from the Hebrew alphabet, like the Latin that uses numbers from its alphabet, like LXX, L equal 50, X equal 10, X equal 10, you get 70. The 360 days year covenant calendar that was used by the children of Israel in the wilderness was Elohim breed. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let every word be established. And that is in Deuteronomy 19 verse 15. And 2 Corinthians 13 and verses 1. I'm going to give here something. If you don't get anything from this, you have words. You have dates. The dates in the 15th of the first month comes from numbers. 1 is a cardinal number. The first is an ordinal number. There still are numbers. They still come from letters. So you have words and you have numbers, 70. But the 70 comes from words. That is very important. So you can have 2 witnesses for the 360 days year calendar. You have what? Words. And you have numbers. One whole book in the Torah revolves around what? Numbers. 1, 70, etc. And it's Elohim breed as well. The Israelites could have been in the promised land in an year's time if it was not for the sin of the golden calf, which we know very well, but we need to understand it too. In 2 years' time, it was not for the lack of faith. They should have been there in the first year. Now another chance is given to them to even be in the promised land, at least in 38 years. Why? It was for their lack of faith and disobedience. And we'll do our best to prove this in their Sukkot journeys. I changed this slide because I want to use numbers first. How long did it took the Israelites living Ramesses? Numbers 33:53. It says in the 15th of the first month. Notice how punctilious it giving attention. That's the word means. Punctilious means to give attention to details. Notice how punctilious Numbers 33:3 is. It says on the 15th of the first month, they left Ramesses. Get that clear? They left Ramesses or Ramesses. And that is the first year to the 20th day of the second month in the second year, when the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle and they set out from the desert of Sinai. We go back again. Ramesses. to the Mount Sinai. Okay? Here, Mount Sinai here. Here you have Ramesses, Mount Sinai here. Notice the dates. Take note of the dates. That is important. Take note, because this is another second witness for the 360 days year calendar. It's user-friendly, and I had to do this here. It took 396 days, 1 year, 1 month, 6 days. All right? That is what was calculated. So, Covenant Calendar Club, we have been with these lunar Shabbatarians or lunar solar calendar of the Helite 2. They're used as foolproof scriptures, Genesis 1:14-19, for signs, seasons, days, and years. Okay. Then they go and they use 1 Samuel 20 and verse 5 for tomorrow shall be the new month, or the new moon. They put new moon, this should be the new month. Then they use Psalms 81:3, blow the shofar on the new month. Or they use new moon, it should be new month at the full moon. And then they use Psalms 104:19, he has appointed the moon for the what? For the set apart times, or the Mohidim. But I always say that the star in the sky knows the Mohidim. Here is the problem, is that when you used Numbers 33 and Numbers 11, Numbers 10:11, you will discover a serious flaw in this lunar solar calendar. And I want to read this, by the way, quickly, hopefully. Let me read it, because this is important. This is our second witness for the 360 days year calendar. People have been hiding behind words, like I mentioned, Genesis 1:14 and 19. And of course, they have been hiding behind these words. But you can't hide behind numbers, because numbers do not lie. Unfortunately, do liars know how to number? That's a good question, right? But when you have these numbers here, and you have these 369 days from the first day of the first month to the second, to the 20th day of the second month in the second year, you can have 396 days. There is nothing here at 1 year, 1 month, 6 days. Let me read this clearly. You have 16 days left in the first month when they left Ramesses. That is clear. Then you have 11 more months. Multiplied by 30, you get 330 days. So the first year is completed. Then in Numbers 10:11, the cloud lifted, left the desert of Sinai. On the 20th day of the second month, second year, is 50 days. So 16 days that was left in the first month when they left Ramesses on the 30-day calendar will be 16 days left. And then you have 11 more months. Multiply, and then by 11, you get 330. And then you're going to discover that in the second month, in the 20th day of the second year, you have 50 days. That would be 396 days equal 1 year, 1 month, 6 days. Now, here you have a problem. You're going to either have the 396 days, which equals 1 year, 1 month, 6 days as solar, or lunar. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. You cannot say like the Encyclopedia Judica, that in the Torah, the months are lunar and the year is solar. Then in Numbers, that I've just 33:3 and Numbers 10:11 has smashed it out the window into smithereens. It either has to be all solar or all lunar, because you have here 396 days equal 1 year, and the sun is given for what? Days. And from 369 days, common sense, you have a 360-day year, and you have a 30-day month and 6 days. Nothing regarding lunar. If you do not get anything else, get this. This is a second witness. We stop hiding behind words. Let us get some numbers. It is a book in the Torah for numbers. Have mercy on us, Father. I'm going to get back to this again one of these days on a power slide. I'm moving ahead. I hope, brothers and sisters in this covenant calendar club, that this is your second foolproof witness. Jose has made about 3 power slides about the moon. Now here is your witness, and it's based on what? Numbers. You cannot hide behind words with your exegesis. Put in what you think it says. Now you go and put in what this says now. You cannot do it. It's impossible. Otherwise you are a liar from the pits of hell. I want to hear, last night I had to change this because this was given a little bit of problem. I'm moving now quickly. And I have to skip something. Journeys of the Israelites from Ramesses to Mount Sinai took approximately 2 months. And you get this from Numbers 3:3, Numbers 33 verse 3. And you got to put it together. Because then Numbers 33 verse 3, you have to go to back now to Exodus 16:1. And then you go to Exodus 19:1. And I show this in another power slide coming up. Quickly, the proposal acceptance, Exodus 20, 10 commandments spoken orally, etc., etc. And Exodus 40, verse 17, so the tabernacle was set up in the first month in the second year. So what I was trying to prove, how long would have been the journey from Ramesses to Mount Sinai, and it would have been approximately 2 months. In the last power slide, I said 3, but better still, is 2 months when I did a more thorough research just in 2 months' time. First Corinthians chapter 10. And of course, I just skip over, let's skip over this. How long did they spend in Mount Sinai? Again, I did the research. They spent at least 11 months alone in Mount Sinai. 11 months alone in Mount Sinai because of the sin of the golden calf. Now we go into 1 Corinthians 10. Warnings from Israel history, verse 11. These things happened to them as examples and was written down as warnings to us. Verse 12. So be careful when you think you are standing firm. Be careful that you don't fall.
Smith, join the meeting.
I gave a breakdown of what is occurring in the wilderness. Numbers 15, the Shabbat breaker put to death. This was a willful act. A lot of people in Christianity do not like this. They say that the God of the Old Testament was a stern, harsh monster. I've heard them that over and over again. And the Jesus of the New Testament is meek and mild. Over this, why is he stoning this man to death? But this was a willful act. He did not need any sticks to keep him warm on the Shabbat because he had the fire over his head. He should have prepared his manna on the 6th day, a double portion. Did he cook or bake the manna that he had in his tent and wanted to go and bake and cook some manna? Could he go to Brother Zachariah or Sister Zachariah, Brother Zachariah, and get some manna? It's a willful act. And Moses did not know what to do with him. Moses did not know, but the Father says, stone him. Then we have now, after that, tassels on garments. Was the war before or when the Sabbath breaker was stoned to death? Or were they warned when the Sabbath breaker was stoned to death? That's a question, because Adam, when the Father put garments of skin on Adam, he didn't put no tassels on Adam's animal coat of skin. Think about it. Number 16, the rebellion of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Fire came from Yahuwah and consumed 250 men who were offering the incense. 14,700 died from a plague. Numbers 20. The death of Aaron at Mount Hor, Numbers 21. Let me go back here quickly. This is where the location here, approximate location, it's called approximate, of Mount Hor, in which Aaron died, Israel high priest. And Moses, someplace here, he saw the promised land from afar off, okay? Because his eyes were not dim and his natural strength was not abated. And somewhere in Moab, he was buried. Nobody knows up to this day where he was buried. And then you have here, back again to the slide, they detested the manna, grumbling, many bitten by venomous snakes. This is very important to read, because what happened is this. Why they were bitten with the snakes? Because they grumbled. Not only that, they say in Numbers 21 verse 5, why have you brought us up out of Egypt to die in the desert? There is no bread, there is no water, and we detest this miserable food. The manna, the type represents whom? Yahusha, who says in John 6:35, I am the bread of life. How are you detesting the bread of life that represents whom? Yahusha. And so many were bitten by venomous snakes and died. And in Numbers 25, Moab seduces Israel, and those who died in the plague was 24,000. Now the 360 days year covenant calendar, here we go again, is repeated in Numbers 28 and 29. So you have two witnesses, right? And Leviticus 23. Vengeance on the Midianites. The 600,000 men, 20 years and up, who left Egypt, all died in the wilderness. Then the death of Moses on Mount Nebo, mourned on the plains of Moab. 30 days, 1 month. Yehoshua 3, crossing the Jordan, and the warrior Yehoshua conquering the Canaanites and all the ites. Finally, they can leave their booths and live in houses. What a journey from Ramesses. Read on here now. Elohim's spirit can apprehend simultaneously what is happening all at once and read the minds of all. There is no past, there is no present and future. Psalms 139:2. You perceive my thoughts from afar. We are now in the shadow picture. After the last great day, 0722, today is 0725, which was after the Feast of Ingathering, Sukkot. We are in, I call it timelessness. There's going to be no time. We call it eternity. We know that there's going to be no more feast until Passover next year. And so, therefore, we are looking what? Here to the realm of righteousness, 2 Peter 3:13. For in keeping with his promise, we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth, the home of righteousness. And Isaiah 66:22, Hebrews 11:10, Revelation 21:1, new beginnings. Since Elohim knows the end from the beginning, we will show you the end, the Feast of Ingathering. So get the power slide entitled that was previously did, Festival of Ingathering, Tabernacles, End Time Events. I have here in the heavens that declares the Tikufa, the circuit of the sun, the Feast of Ingathering, Sukkot, not the moon. Bullet point, the Feast of Ingathering must have a sacrifice. Hear this word here. It must have a sacrifice. It must have a new covenant. It must have a king and a high priest after the order of Melchizedek, Hebrews 6:20, and it is Yahusha. John 11:51. He did this on his own, but as high priest that year, we can go back and read verse 50. Caiaphas, he prophesied that Yahusha would die for the Yehudim, I call it Jewish, nation. Verse 52, and not only for that nation, because a lot of Hebrew blacks in there is talking about that Yeshua only came and died for the Yehuda nation. But no. But they don't read this in John 11:51. They only read John 16. And of course, what you call Luke chapter 1, and he will save their people from their sins. And he will save is only the Yehudim. And don't go to John 11:51. And not only for that nation, the Yehudim, but also for the scattered children, the 12 tribes of Elohim, to bring them together and make them one. The Feast of Ingathering, Sukkot, was known before the name Sukkot or Boot. Why? This is what happened. There was a split in the kingdom. You can read First Kings with Solomon because of his idolatry. And of course, Rehoboam, his son, succeeded him. And the elders came and says, lower our taxes and we're going to serve you. And then he says, come back in 3 days' time. And the younger man that he was raised with gave him some bad advice. And they came back and he says, you know what? My father whipped you with sticks, what have you, but I'm going to whip you with scorpions instead. I'm going to make your taxes even more burdensome. And they split. 10 of them went to the north, and only whom? Judah and Benjamin stayed in the south. That's enough for that history, briefly. Set to Rehoboam, son of Solomon, king of Judah and Benjamin, and to the rest of the people, this is what Yahuwah says. Do not go up to fight against your brothers, the Israelites. Stay home. Go home, every one of you. For this is whom? My doing. So they obeyed the word of Yahuwah and went home again. The 10 tribes never again was reunited as one. Though many statements by those that the 10 tribes have assimilated into Judah, the Jews. This straw man ideology quickly disintegrate when fire of the scriptures, properly exegesis, test it. You got to test it. It's false. And you have Acts 26:7, in which Shaul says, in which the 12 tribes, what you call diligently, serve Elohim day and night. So they still existed, but they did not assimilate into Yehudim. And James 1:1, we all know this. The 10 tribes had not assimilated into Judah, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. By the way, assimilation means culture, but not culturally neither. They were in the different, all over the world. It is only Yahushua, after the order of Melchizedek, Hebrews 6:20, will gather all and bring them together and make them one. John 11:52, to celebrate the feast of ingathering. Torah to the tribes ministry is beginning this process to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, which you and I are invited to be at the marriage supper of the Lamb with the bridegroom Yahusha. Finishing up, do you have the right to ask your Creator, how would I know that my salvation, deliverance is secured? I'm going to quote 2 Corinthians 5:1, our heavenly dwelling. Now we know that if the earthly tent, sukkah, we live in is destroyed, we have a building from Elohim, not a sukkah, an eternal house in the heaven. And I'm going to tell you what that eternal house is, not built by human hands. Meanwhile, we groan, longing to be clothed, put on over. That is the Greek word, put on over, like our clothes each day with our heavenly dwelling. I'm going to tell you what that heavenly dwelling is again. Because when we are clothed, we will not be found naked. That means in the nude or disembodied spirits. Verse 4. For while we are in this tent, we all know that, pains, headache. Last night we prayed for Cameron. He is in his boot. All of us are, whether we are Cameron or not, we groan and are burdened because we do not wish to be unclothed, disembodied spirits waiting for a host, like what Brandon was teaching here a few months ago, but to be clothed with our heavenly dwelling. What is mortal, our tent, our sukkah, may be swallowed up by life, immortality, exemption from death, sickness and pain, and our garment of light, our bodies. That is our heavenly dwelling. That is our eternal house. That is our immortal bodies. That is what is going to be of light, like Yahusha, but not in the same glorious form as Yahusha, but lesser. We cannot be more glorious than the bridegroom. Lesser, but still light, with is his nature. Verse 5, now is Elohim who has made us for this very purpose, to give us what? Immortality. Adam forfeited his right to be immortal with the complete nature of the Creator, no sinning, of course, and has given us what? His Spirit as a deposit. We call Holy Spirit, or I call it what? Set apart spirit. Set apart means special and different. The Father is set apart and his Spirit, and that is why it is called set apart spirit. It's guaranteed. Elohim is not a man that he would lie. It's guaranteed. Period. What is to come? How do you know? Lastly here, Psalms 19:1 and 6, I end with this. The heavens declare the glory, esteem of Yahuwah, Elohim. The scriptures, the bridegroom, feast of ingathering, Sukkot. Always come low on that word. The Tikufa, revealed, part 2. Revelation 1:16, Yahusha, His face was like the sun. You go into the heavens right now, like John saw, and you see the back of Yahusha's face. All of it is light, pure light, shining in all its brilliance. Yahusha, our bridegroom. This picture here, even see, you see the stars? These are the smaller light, not the lesser light. Wrong translation in Genesis 1:14-19. It should have been the smaller light, not the lesser light. It's the stars. The moon don't have no light of its own. See, it reflects what? The sun's light. This picture is well put together. And to the back here, you see what? A dark moon, because from the dome of the skies, looking down to the back of it, or you looking down from the front of it is a dark moon. But when you look from the earth, it is a full moon. But when you look from the dome, it is what? A dark moon. Think about it. And now we finish it up. Let me move ahead. Revelation 1:16, Yahusha. His face was like the sun shining in all its brilliance. Yahusha, our bridegroom, the warrior, King of kings. And by the way, this is a Hebrew term, not a Greek term. King of kings and sovereigns of sovereigns are Hebrew terms, not Greek terms. And kings of kings means the best king. May you be blessed.
Hallelujah. Woo. Man, I'll tell you, the only thing better than hearing that once is hearing that twice. So, man.
Yeah, I had to go rush through. I just want my brothers to know that the spent from Ramesses to Mount Sinai, when the time the cloud lifted, was 396 days. I want them to know that from Ramesses to Mount Sinai, when they first came, is 2 months. And I want them to know that they spent 11 months there at Mount Sinai alone. And Yahweh told Moses, come on, you have spent too much time here at this mountain. It's time to get out. And so that is what occurred. And then we have, when they left there, it may took another 6 more months, whatever, for the spies to go and do their thing. And then another 6 more months, they should have been in the promised land within the second year.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, a lot of people that just read the Bible, sometimes they just miss, how many ascensions did Moshe really take to go to the mountain? And, it takes time. I mean, first when he was called in to get his name, and also when the commandments were given on Exodus 19, I think there was like 3 ascensions just right there alone before he had to go and receive the covenant. And then after that, I think there were like 7 times. And so that definitely took a good amount of time.
Yeah, because Moses had to spend some time in the mountain, because what I have discovered that Genesis was written in Exodus. There was no account of Genesis, and no doubt he saw a panoramic vision of the creation of the world of Genesis 1. So he had to spend some time documenting what really occurred in Genesis for him to write the Genesis account.
Mm.
Yep.
That is something or in the tent of meeting, either one or the two. That'll be either on the mount or in the tent of meeting, where he wrote Genesis.
All right. Awesome. All right. So we do have
couple minutes.
have about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so if anyone has a comment or question right now would be the best time. Before we can move up, have Brandon do his teaching.
One thing I'll say, since nobody's really raising their hand, is, and I talked about this last night, is that, people are thinking that the wilderness is going to be a cakewalk. But I think that when we read through the book of Numbers of the book of Bemidbar, which Bemidbar it actually means wilderness. So, the Hellenists came along and labeled it Numbers, but it's more, I mean, it is numbers. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not contradicting what Brother Conrad's saying, but it's also the wilderness. It's that wilderness journey. And we know that he's declared the end from the beginning. So if there's a bride in the wilderness, which there will be, a remnant in the wilderness, that these temptations to want to go back to Egypt, or you could call it Mystery Babylon, or whatever you want to refer to it as, the temptation to look back will be there. And so we just have to guard ourselves against that. And that's why I think it's so important to just learn about the intimacy with the Ruach HaKodesh, so that we guard ourselves from becoming prideful and sinful and falling by the wayside, much like they did in the wilderness, which is what caused them, like Brother Conrad said, to be delayed by over 38 years. So
yeah.
Yes, I know it. I know the Greek make it numbers, or Genesis is a Hebrew term, Bemidbar. However, it has numbers in very much so in as well. So let's call it the wilderness experience with numbers.
There you go. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, I think we probably have time for one more. And I wanted to clarify real quick. I know from Ramses, this Sinai was after the name was given. So yeah, but I think there were, I believe, 7 ascensions after that. I just want to clarify that. As far as Manny, do you have a question or comment? And then I think we have time for one more question.
Mine is just a quick comment.
Or comment. Okay, great.
I don't know what to trip Conrad up. Thing is, Satan and the world has done a good job of hiding maps and and everything, to the point where it took me 8 or 9 months of going through videos and going to the library and everything to find what I found, which is what I'm submitting to you gentlemen. And you're going to find that it took a lot of work.
Yeah, we appreciate it very much, and we are glad for your diligence in so doing. Thanks.
And the nice thing is, though, is that he's promised that whatever has been hidden shall be revealed. Whatever done behind closed doors in secret is being revealed in this late hour. So it's prophecy come into play. Knowledge is increasing because people are pressing in and getting it. So hallelujah.
The scriptures on we wrote to finish. The scriptures are Matthew 10:26, Mark 4:22, and as the third witness, Luke 8:17, where it tells you that things will be brought out of the house.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one I was referring to, was that Luke 8:17.
Okay. Okay. So this will truly be the last one. Jean, go ahead. Go ahead, Jean. Shabbat shalom, sister.
I was, this Sukkot, when I was at Kathy Byers' Sukkot, they had shown us that migration series, which technically sort of proved that what's in the Middle East was actually in the U.S. And I was just wondering if anybody else had looked at that, because if it is true, then where we're going to be going is going to be here in America, and probably on the same kind of pathways as the 12 tribes took when they were leaving Egypt, because so I don't know if any of you guys have looked at that, but everybody was talking about bringing that up to Matthew, and it didn't come up at the Matthew's last day Sukkot thing, but I just wanted to put that out there. I did download those videos on a disc, but it's called the Migration Series.
I'll have to check that out. I believe I'm talking about the right Keith, but there's a brother Keith in here right now who I believe wrote a I don't even know what to call it, but basically I have a PDF of talking about how there is a high possibility, like you said, that the United States is tied to the Holy Land somehow.
No,
So
actually, that it is the original Holy
no,
Land.
yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. So that would be a conversation I would love to have with Keith and Brother Jose and Conrad. You know, maybe at one of our meetings, and then see what we can dig up through that as well, because that's fascinating stuff. Just like we did last night with Brother Manny. As well. So we would love to see that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just let me know if you want the videos. I can.
Oh yes, please, Gene. I'm all about digging treasure. So yeah, you can send me the link for sure. I'll check it out. Awesome.
It's going to be a while. I'm not at home. I'm in a hotel and I'm leaving in an hour, 2 hours. So, but I'll do it when I get to it.
No worries. No worries. And I might be able to. You said it was just called The Migration, is what it was called.
The Migration series, and it's
The Migration series.
What was that last name, Israel? Lil something.
Okay.
Lil. Not the other. There's another person who has something named the similar thing, but it's the one with the first name is Lil. Lil.
Okay.
And then
I'll check it out. I'll see if I can. Maybe I can find it on YouTube. I don't know.
yeah, it is on YouTube. That's what
Okay. Yeah, I'll look for it. Awesome. Thank you for that. And thank you, Brother Conrad, for that as well. That was awesome. And it, again, you guys, I mean, we keep trying to tell you that this isn't our group or anything. This is the Ruach's group. And the Ruach's literally guiding all of our steps and you're about to see it, because Conrad left off with Revelation 1:16, and guess what I'm leading off with? Revelation 1:16. We're going to talk about, Yahusha and his glory and what does he look like and everything like that. So anyway, I guess Brother Jose will end the recording here real quick. You want me to do it?